Have you ever wondered what would happen if the President of the United States was unable to fulfill their duties? A question that's not as simple as it seems, leading us to the Presidential Succession Act. This intriguing piece of legislation outlines who steps in when the highest office in the land is suddenly vacant. From the Vice President to the Speaker of the House, right down to the Cabinet Secretaries, the order is fascinating. Stay tuned as we journey through the corridors of power and succession in the United States. The Presidential Succession Act, a powerful piece of legislation, determines the course of leadership in the most extraordinary of circumstances. It's the rulebook for what happens when the highest office in the United States becomes suddenly vacant. The act ensures that the ship of state never sails without a captain, even in times of great turbulence. The roots of the Presidential Succession Act stretch back to 1792, but the form we know today was shaped in the crucible of the 20th century. The act was significantly revised in 1947 under the leadership of President Harry S. Truman. Truman recognized the need for a clear, unambiguous line of succession in an era that was starting to grapple with nuclear threats and Cold War tensions. The act's primary purpose? To establish an orderly and predictable line of succession beyond the vice president. It's a contingency plan, laying out who takes the helm if both the president and vice president are unable to serve. The first in line, as we all know, is the vice president. But the act doesn't stop there. It carefully lays out 15 positions, creating a clear chain of command. After the vice president, the Speaker of the House is up next, followed by the President pro tempore of the Senate, a position usually held by the longest-serving member of the majority party. Next in line would be the Secretary of State, followed by other cabinet secretaries, in an order established by the creation dates of their departments. This list includes the Secretaries of the Treasury, Defense, Justice, and Interior, all the way down to the Secretary of Homeland Security. So, the Presidential Succession Act is our assurance that no crisis, however dire, can leave the United States without a leader. It's a testament to the foresight of our nation's founders and the leaders who have shaped the act over the centuries. And while it's a plan we hope never to use, it's comforting to know it's there, ready if needed. Now let's delve deeper into the line of succession as dictated by this act. At the forefront of the Presidential Succession Act stands the Vice President. The Vice President's primary role is to be ready at a moment's notice to assume the presidency should the need arise. This has been the case since the inception of the United States, with the Vice President being only a heartbeat away from the highest office in the land. Historically, there have been 9 instances where the Vice President has had to step into the shoes of the President. This includes circumstances such as the assassination of Abraham Lincoln in 1865, where Vice President Andrew Johnson took the oath of office, and the resignation of Richard Nixon in 1974, which saw Gerald Ford ascend to the presidency. These instances underscore the critical role the Vice President plays in the continuity of the government. The Vice President is not just a ceremonial position, but a cornerstone of the nation's stability. But what if the Vice President, too, is unable to assume the role? Next in line, we have the Speaker of the House and the President pro tempore. Let's start with the Speaker of the House. This role, held by a member of the House of Representatives, is a critical one indeed. The Speaker not only presides over the House, but also performs a variety of legislative and administrative tasks. They are responsible for maintaining order during debates, deciding who may speak, and ruling on points of order. In the line of presidential succession, the Speaker is next up after the Vice President. Now you might be wondering, what if both the President and Vice President are unable to serve and the Speaker of the House is also unavailable? Well, that's where the President pro tempore comes in. The President pro tempore, or President for the time being, is a role within the United States Senate. This person is normally the most senior senator of the majority party. In the absence of the vice president, they preside over the Senate, and if both the president and vice president, as well as the Speaker of the House, are unable to serve, the President pro tempore is next in line for the presidency. The President pro tempore's role may seem less well known, but it carries significant weight. Not only do they preside over the Senate in the vice president's absence, but they also play a key role in the legislative process. They can direct Senate business, sign legislation, and represent the Senate in relations with the President, the House of Representatives, and other authorities. In the grand scheme of presidential succession, the Speaker of the House and the President pro tempore play crucial roles. They ensure that even in the most unexpected of circumstances, there's a plan in place to keep the executive branch functioning smoothly and effectively. These are not the only ones in line. Let's move further down the list. Beyond the Congress, the line of succession moves to the President's cabinet. Now let's delve into the intricate order of the cabinet secretaries. The Secretary of State is the first in line among the cabinet members. The position is one of the oldest and most prestigious in the cabinet, dating back to 1789. The Secretary of State's primary role is to advise the President on foreign affairs, but should the need arise, they might find themselves in the role of the nation's leader. Next up is the Secretary of the Treasury, who manages the government's revenue. The Secretary of the Treasury oversees the Department of the Treasury, which includes the IRS and the Bureau of the Fiscal Service. Following the Secretary of the Treasury is the Secretary of Defense. This individual is responsible for coordinating and supervising all agencies directly involved in national security and the U.S. Armed Forces. Then we have the Attorney General, who is the head of the Department of Justice. While not officially titled as a secretary, the Attorney General is, nevertheless, fourth in line for the presidency. The line continues with the Secretary of the Interior, Secretary of Agriculture, Secretary of Commerce, and Secretary of Labor. Their roles range from managing the country's natural resources, overseeing the agriculture industry, regulating interstate and foreign commerce, and ensuring workers' rights, respectively. Moving on, we have the Secretary of Health and Human Services, who oversees public health. Then the Secretary of Housing and Urban Development, Secretary of Transportation, Secretary of Energy, and Secretary of Education, each responsible for their respective sectors. Lastly, we have the Secretary of Veterans Affairs and the Secretary of Homeland Security. The former looks after veterans' needs, while the latter ensures the nation's security against varied threats. And with that, we have covered the entire line of presidential succession. So, why does all of this matter? Well, let's take a moment to reflect on what we've journeyed through today. The Presidential Succession Act isn't just an interesting piece of legislation, it's a cornerstone of American democracy. It ensures that, even in the face of unforeseen circumstances, the ship of state continues to sail smoothly. We've learned that if the president is unable to fulfill his duties, the vice president steps up to the plate. This immediate succession is a testament to the resilience and preparedness of our political system. Next in line is the Speaker of the House, a position of great responsibility and influence. This individual is chosen by the representatives of the people, reflecting the democratic principle that power ultimately resides with the citizenry. Then comes the President pro tempore of the Senate, a position often held by a senator of the most senior stature. This role underscores the importance of experience and wisdom in leadership, characteristics that are invaluable in steering the nation through challenging times. Following these positions, we've delved into the line of cabinet secretaries, starting with the Secretary of State. These individuals are at the helm of various crucial departments, from state to homeland security, each playing a pivotal role in the functioning of the nation. The Presidential Succession Act, therefore, is a well-thought-out plan that ensures a seamless transition of power. It's a safety net that anticipates the unexpected, providing a clear roadmap for continuity in leadership. But beyond its practical implications, the Act is a symbol of the checks and balances that underpin our democracy. It reminds us that no single individual is indispensable, reinforcing the idea that it's the office, not the person, that holds true power. In understanding the Presidential Succession Act, we gain insight into the robustness of the American political system. It equips us with the knowledge to anticipate potential shifts in power and the ability to understand the implications of such changes. Remember, in the world of politics, it's always wise to expect the unexpected. Knowledge of the Presidential Succession Act equips us with foresight for such situations. For more information, check the description for some related educational materials, and don't forget to support this channel. This is AI-generated content. We're constantly improving, and your support matters. Check out our other videos and channels listed below. Thank you for watching.